Hi everyone, good to see you. And that is the goal. It's justice for Abby and Libby. And it's a turning point this year. They would have graduated from high school, cut short by that brutal murderer who cut those girls' lives short on February 13th, 2017. I want to bring in the family members who have been so resilient and just fighting for justice all the way through. I want to bring in, of course, Kelsi German, who you may know from different panels, now become an advocate, Libby's sister. Tara German, Libby's aunt, is here as well. Also want to bring in Becky Patty, the grandmother of Libby. And I've gotten to know the family so well through the years, through just heartache and looking at Libby's gravesite and what should have been a year of celebratory times and just the heartbreak. And first, welcome to all of you. And we've seen each other through the last couple of days, and it's so welcoming, and you're so warm and so open and resilient to continue this fight. Kelsi, I'll start with you on this year and how difficult it's been. But if you go through your Instagram, even your first day of your senior year, you say, I miss you, I wish you were here. But all of these times are difficult in their own right.
Yeah, this has been the most challenging year. Libby should have been doing all of these amazing things. She should have been graduating, starting college, getting her driver's license, like all of these things that she could have done, she should be doing, she's not, and all of these big milestones in my life that are happening that she's missing. So every single one of them, I try to remember her, and I try to make sure that I'm honoring her in the best way I can through all of my big wins and all of the wins she should have had.
And Becky, we spoke yesterday. That is true. And I know that, Kelsi, that you said you feel her kind of there with you.
Oh yeah, all the time. I actually have a tattoo that says, I can't see you, but I can feel you. And that's because in all of those moments, and every single moment that happens, whether it's good or bad, or no matter what I'm going through, she's always there, and I always feel her presence right there with me every step of the way, holding my hand, giving me a hug, just making sure, encouraging me to go on when I don't feel like I can.
And just those moments that we take for granted. You said that Libby would come in your room and say, what should I wear? Does this look good? And those were cut off, those moments.
Yeah, so she's not here anymore for that. I can't go in there and talk to her about boys. I can't tell her about Caleb. I can't tell her all the amazing things that are happening for me. And she can't be there to talk to me about all of the other things that are happening in my life and what should be happening in hers.
And Kelsi has been sending me pictures, as you're seeing, and video. And Tara, there you are with Libby. We see still photographs. What was she like as a person, just in your relationship together? It's okay. I know it's your first time here at CrimeCon or even talking about this, and it's excruciating, it's tough. And this is the reality of it. The reality is it's heartbreaking. It's okay. It's okay to not be okay. And that's why we're here. And Becky, you know that you said to me that this is Tara's first time talking about this, and being able to speak about it and be okay. No one's really okay. They just talk about it to keep it in the public eye. Because I was speaking to Becky at the table earlier, this was yesterday, and she said, someone came up and said, oh, I thought that was solved. So that is what you don't want, because we want to get this guy that did this more than 4 years ago. And that's what's at stake. And Becky, that's what keeps you going.
That's exactly what keeps us going. That's, the girls deserve this. They deserve us. Libby did everything she could to help us out, and it's now our job to keep it out there, to keep the pressure on this guy, to never let him think that he's got away with this, to think that we aren't searching for him, because we are, and we're not giving up. He's messed with the wrong family.
And Becky, you've been to CrimeCon a couple times now, and you have a story, and maybe Tara could talk to this, on your trip here with Mike carpeting the car. If you could explain the vehicle that you had to get and why.
You got to know my husband.
I think a lot of them know. In New Orleans, he was on stage, and he's been talking about this, of course, and Libby's grandfather. So explain the kind of vehicle you needed.
Well, we were bringing all the stuff because we're setting up a booth, and rental vehicles are hard to come by, and he didn't want me to pull a trailer, so I thought, okay, I'll get a 14-passenger van, and I can put everything in there. Well, you couldn't. So I ended up getting this cargo creeper van. But it only seats 2 people. There's 2 seats. And well, we flew Kelsi down so she wouldn't have to ride with us, but then Libby's other grandma decided she wanted to go too, but we only had 2 seats, and now there's 3 of us. So I can bring in this van home, and there's no insulation, nothing inside, and this thing is just clanging and banging. And I told Mike, I said, my gosh, this thing's loud. So he says, I'll work on that. And he goes out, and we have some extra carpet when we had carpet put in the house. And he's out there the night before. He's cutting carpet to lay down in the floor. We're looking like a shaggin' wagon here. and we took a lawn chair. He took a lawn chair. And we've got snatch 'em straps. You know? We have our own seat in the back here, and he made a seat belt and everything. And one of our friends, he's a cop, happened to come by when Mike was fixing this up. And I said, if you stop me, would you give me a ticket? And he looked in there, and he shook his head, and he said, no. No, I wouldn't give you a ticket, but I would sure take some pictures. So this is what we'll do to come here to make sure we get that story out.
How was that ride here?
She rode in it most of the time.
Tara, I saw that you posted some pictures on Facebook. What do you think Libby would say if she saw that?
Oh, she'd have done the same thing I did. You catch every one of them sleeping, you're snapping pictures, and you're posting them on Facebook.
I saw that. Of Becky sleeping. I don't know if you know this. You're
I wasn't
on Facebook.
sleeping.
She's on her phone.
You're resting your eyes?
No, I was on my Facebook.
So, Kelsi, I know you said that this is a moment in time almost, that you have the image of your sister in 8th grade, and she would have graduated this year. You said you'll always be an 8th grader to me.
Oh yeah, Libby will. All of her friends are still 8th graders. I refused to believe that they graduated, and I told every single one of that at their graduation parties. They're still all children. They're all 8th graders, and that's what they'll always be to me. I still see them as those little girls that were hanging out in Libby's bedroom or trying to scare me in my bedroom while I was sleeping, like that right there. That's just what they are. They'll always be that to me.
This has changed everything for you, and of course at CrimeCon we see a connection, and you connecting with other people who feel the way you do or who have experienced something that you have experienced, because I can say that I know how you feel, and I really don't. It's about the people who have gone through something just as heartbreaking to connect with you, and for others to see and say, okay, if she can make it, then I can make it. Or how has she gotten through this? And if she can get through this, then I can get through what I'm going through in my life. And have you felt that through connecting at CrimeCon with various families?
Oh, definitely. CrimeCon's the place where my advocacy started. If I wouldn't have went to CrimeCon the first year, I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't continue to advocate for Abby and Libby, and I think it's because I get to meet those people who are going through exactly what I'm going through. That's where I created my support system, and I just want to continue to come and make sure that I'm able to say, hey, I did this. This is what I'm doing, and I want to help you. And I hope all of those family members feel comfortable to come up and talk to all of us. I think we're all willing to talk to them about their stories and continue to help them share just like we've been able to while we're here.
And I know you've been to several CrimeCons, various cities. I assume that everyone knows about the case, but if they don't, if you could take us through that. February 13th, 2017, you dropped the girls off at the bridge. If you could take us through it just so people understand what happened if they don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was the day off school in February. It was very warm for February in Indiana. I know some people don't understand that, but when it's normally winter in February, 40 or even 50 or 60 degrees is super warm. So we just wanted to go out and enjoy the day, or they did, before I went to work, and I offered to drop them off. So I dropped them off around 1:30, maybe a little bit after, and I got the call a little while later, around 4 o'clock, that they weren't answering their phone, and that's kind of when the search started. And that night, there were people all over in the woods with flashlights. People from all over were there looking, and it wasn't until the next day that they were found.
And Becky, I know when you first heard the girls aren't there where they were supposed to be for the pickup, were you immediately panicked, or how did that day go for those who don't know about what happened in those 2 days in 2017?
Derek, Libby's dad, called me, called about 3:30. Tara works with me, so we were in the office, and he called and he said, Libby's not answering her phone. I've been calling and she's not answering. And anybody knows Libby knows that that's not normal. She doesn't not answer her phone. So Tara and I proceeded to try to call and text and everything we could do, and there was no answer. So it was about 4 o'clock. We decided we were going to go searching. Tara went ahead and left. She went on to the bridge. I had to let the dogs out and do some things, and I called Mike at that time and said, we're headed to the trails because Libby's not answering her phone, and Derek's been trying to get a hold of her for about an hour, and he's done some walking and he hasn't seen him. So we're going to go look. And then he said, let me tie up some things here and I'll be there. Tara went straight there. As I was pulling out, one of my other son, Cody, was pulling in, and he said, what are you doing? And I said, Libby's not answering her phone. She's at the trails. We're going to go look. So we decided if they should happen to walk home, that there's 2 different directions that they could have possibly walked. So we decided to drive both of those routes that she could have taken. So we were a little bit later getting there than what Tara was, because we drove both of the routes and everything before we got there. We were all, the rest of the family showed up. I called AT&T, which was our service provider, to see if they could ping Libby's phone. And if you don't have that on their phone, you can't. I have found out that they won't do it. I begged them to ping her phone, that we knew something. But in an hour or so, we knew something wasn't right. We weren't sure what, but we knew something wasn't right. So I was on the phone with them forever. And finally, I got off the phone, and Mike come walking up to me. And by this time, it was about 20 after 5, and it was going to start getting dark soon. And I told him, I said, it's going to be dark. We need to call the police. Something's wrong. Libby's afraid of the dark, so I know she ain't going to be staying out. So we called the police, and I had been trying to get a hold of Anna. So we called the police, and I told Mike that I was going to go to Anna's house to try to get a hold of her, because I couldn't get a hold of her on the phone. So I went to her house, and her grandfather told me that she was at work, and so I was driving over to work when she called me. They had us then at that time go up to the police station, but we posted on Facebook, has anybody seen Abby or Libby? Please call us. The typical things that people do when they've got a missing child. And it was amazing, because that night when we did finally leave the police station, we drove out there and there were flashlights everywhere, everywhere you went. The community, people came from all around, even on that night, to look for the girls. They had us go home at that time and pick up all devices, all electronic devices that Libby may have been on. They started searching devices at that point in time. And it was about midnight that they called me to the back room, and there was a group of them. I remember the room being full. And they said, we have to call the search off for the night. It's too dangerous out there in the dark to continue. We'll start again first daybreak when it gets light. And I knew the temperature had dropped. It dropped a lot. And the girls were just in t-shirts and a light jacket. And I asked him, I said, it's going to get down to freezing. Will the girls be able to survive the night? And they said, they've got youth on their side. So we went out and drove around and searched some more. And finally, Mike told me that he was going to take me home. He needed somebody there in case somebody needed to call us, or if Libby showed up, or if something, that we needed somebody there. So I went home to wait to see at that point in time. But even after they stopped the search,
It continued,
much of the
right?
community,
Yeah.
much of the community said no. So they reconvened at the fire department, and a lot of the civilians and fire department and some of the police even at that went back out and searched that night. There was
And the
people out
next
there all night.
day, when did you find out that it was not the news, obviously, that anyone wanted to hear?
Do what?
When did you find out that it wasn't the news that everyone wanted to hear the next day when you found out the girls had been murdered?
They had us all broke up into different search groups. So our family got separated. Kelsi was in one search group. Mike was in another search group. Derek was in another.
I think my
Tara,
dad was with me.
huh?
Dad was with me.
Was he? Tara and I were in a search group. They had us out by our house. We were out doing this field out in the middle of out nowhere. And it was muddy. It was terrible. But we were walking back, and it was probably about 11:30. And one of our friends come running up and said her husband called her, and that they found the girls. So we were so excited. We didn't think to ask anything else, but they were found. So we jumped in our cars, and we got there. We got to the trailhead, and I went running up, and I'm like, where are they? Where are they? They need us. Libby needs me. And one of the firefighters was there, and he said, they haven't found him. And I said, oh, yeah, I got a call. They found him. And he said, no. And I remember looking over, and my sister was sitting. She was sitting on a cart, and she was crying. And I went running over there, and I said, they found him, they found him, they found him. And all she could do was sit there and cry, and she kept saying, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. She was with one of the groups that found him. So we knew before even the fire department and some of them knew. I remember sitting there with her. And about that time, Mike and you guys were there. I remember Mike taking me to the truck. And I was sitting there waiting because he was going to talk to somebody. And I remember the coroner's van driving by. And that's when I knew that they found him, but not alive. So it was shortly after that they called us up to the fire department. They called the whole family to the fire department to officially tell us that 2 bodies had been found, but they couldn't say it was the girls. We're in a small community. 2 girl bodies were found. Now, who do you think that is? So that's how we found out.
And the former prosecutor said the first night that he heard Robert Ives, he thought, the girls may have just gotten in some sort of fight. They didn't know. And they thought, because this is unprecedented for this to happen in Delphi, that's why they didn't know. And soon after, they realized what a hero both girls were to go through this, both Abby and Libby. But for Libby to take the picture that she took of the still photo of that person on the bridge, and to hear the sound, and if we could play it for those who haven't heard it, she hit record on her phone, and it's guys down the hill from what we've been able to hear. Let's listen to it.
Guys, down the hill. Guys, down the hill. Guys, down the hill.
And that's what Libby was able to get on her cell phone during this, and thinking about what she may have been going through. And Kelsi, when you hear that voice, I know you've said in the past, it sounds familiar, but you just don't know. Even though you think, who is this? This has to be solved.
It does. It sounds so familiar. It's like it could be anyone. I think when we hear it, we think it could be anyone in the community. It's somebody, I was working at Dairy Queen at the time. Was it somebody I met there? Was it someone I met at the park? Or was it somebody I met at a gas station? Was he just standing next to me at a gas station? Or was he next to me at a sporting event? Did he come to my swim meets? Is this somebody that I could have met before? And I think it's just something that it's there. There's a memory. That voice is familiar. But where is it coming from? Why am I remembering it?
And that is the question, and the investigation, as you know, has been quote unquote tight-lipped, meaning we don't want to give too much information away because only the killer would know this information. And any brutal crime or violent crime that happens near Delphi, someone becomes someone that they would look into, authorities, or a person of interest, what have you, but not a suspect. And Kelsi, who has been an advocate for so many, and of course for her sister, of course, and her best friend Abby, online has had to face people saying, when it comes up in the news, oh, this person is it. Kind of had to level everyone to say, wait a minute, this may not be it. Because Becky, as you know, I've spoken to Mike, who said, look, we've been on this roller coaster before. Everyone gets their hopes up, like, we got him, this is it. And then it's not. And the highs of that, and then the lows, it can eliminate the hope that you hold on to, right, Kelsi?
Absolutely. So these people will post side-by-sides, or a news reporter will post, this is the new suspect.
Sketch, and then the person who has committed some sort of crime or allegedly in the area, and they post it side by side, which can be damaging for the case at hand or for that person.
Yeah, and it's like, it could be anyone, but it can't be all of them. So they share these innocent people, and people start believing that that's the person, and they start believing that an arrest has been made, and they start congratulating us when there's nothing to congratulate us for.
And it is what a lot of people are talking about, because April 22nd, the new sketch, you both have seen this. This was the first sketch, and then this. So the April 22nd, it was, we're going in a new direction. Someone who looks very young, opposed to the original sketch. And so there is some discrepancy in terms of who do we look for? Is it someone in town? Do you find yourself looking over your shoulder at all, Tara, in town? Or is there a feeling of calm that this will be solved by authorities? What does it feel like?
I'm not sure that we'll ever feel calm again.
Yes.
But we always look over our shoulder. Our job, we drive miles and miles, and we catch each other looking at the person coming up beside us, just traveling down the road, people walking. We'll be sitting in a restaurant, and we're staring at these people. You know, could this be the person? Hey, this person fits. Oh, he's got reddish brown hair. Or we're always looking over our shoulders to see, hey, could this be the person? We're picking and looking into these people, and these people are probably looking at us like, what are these crazy ladies doing? Like, why do they keep staring at us? We pulled up to a stoplight one day. We both were sitting there staring at this car beside us. Neither one of us knew. I kind of looked over, and Mom was looking over at this person, and this person's looking at us like, what's happening right now? We do that a lot. Everywhere we go, everywhere we turn, people, I'll go through my friends list on Facebook and say, okay, could this be the person? Your trust in anybody really has gone out the door. It could be anybody.
And Becky, I say when, not if. When this person is caught, what are you expecting to feel or hoping to feel? Will there be, I know there's no such thing as closure, a peace, a sense of, I guess, justice?
Somebody asked me today what justice meant. The only way there could be justice is if our girls were back.
Mm-hmm.
There will be peace, not peace. There will be a sigh of relief, because first off, he's caught, and he can never do this to another family. I will feel better that this guy is behind bars, and he'll be getting his justice. I want this guy in general population. I could go to bed with a smile on my face then. I don't know. I guess you won't know till the time comes.
You said to me yesterday, I said, how do you not live in anger or just have this unjust feel that most of us would imagine we would feel? And you said, well, then that would mean he would win.
He would win. He's already taken so much from our lives that I refuse to let him take more. You know, he took Libby from us physically, but he didn't take her from us. We had our own graduation. We still celebrate everything with Libby. A lot of times when we're talking, people wouldn't even know that she's gone, we just include, we do things, we try to make sure we do things on vacation that she would have liked to do. Just like last night, I rode a scooter.
And Kelsi, I read this, I believe on Twitter, what you said about forgiveness. And I'd like you to read it if you don't mind. It's about forgiving that person without saying it's okay.
I haven't said this out loud. Oh my goodness. I forgive him, but that doesn't make it okay, or that I don't want justice, or make me any less angry. It means I have peace. If I wouldn't have forgave, I wouldn't be here, and he would have won. I'll never let him win. It took a lot of prayer, a ton of writing and therapy, and a lot of tears, but I have peace.
And do you get through, I'm sure you do, by knowing that Libby is with you and meeting other families who have gone through something similar? Do they have peace? Was it difficult getting to that point?
It was so difficult. I remember the first 2 years, I didn't want to be here anymore. I didn't want to keep going or pushing. I didn't want to fight for her. But I remember talking to one of my friends and them saying, you have to keep doing it because that's what she would want. And I remember at that point, I was like, I have to go to therapy. I have to start reading my Bible again. And that's when I met Caleb. That's when we started talking about our traumas and we started getting through that. And he helped me work to a point where I can say, yes, God is good. He's got this and we're going to get through it. But it took a lot of work to get there. And even if you don't believe in God, I think you can find a lot of peace in the fact that you can get through this. Even if I didn't have that, I think I would have gotten through it. It's just finding that right person and those people that care about you and those people that really understand that trauma is real. And it takes a lot of work to get there.
Speaking of Caleb, you're engaged. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And you're a junior, right? Studying forensic psychology. What are you hoping to do, the impact that you may have, which you're already doing, by the way?
I'm actually about to start my senior year, so one more year. And then I plan on going into victims advocacy and helping family members for the rest of my life. I feel like that's my passion. That's what I was called to do. I was called to help all of these amazing people that are going through awful things that should never have had to gone through it. And it's so important that they have that person that knows what they're going through and really knows, not just the people that are like, oh, I understand, I'm sorry, I can be here for you. No, this is a real person that's really been there and has real emotions and knows that you're going to go through some of those same emotions, maybe differently, but somebody who really understands that is so important to be in your life.
And Tara, that's so true, and I know it's your first time at CrimeCon, but there's people who say, oh, I understand, and then there's people who really understand, who've gone through something similar. Have you found that or met people here?
I have met a lot of people, and there are a lot of people that have told us our story. I may not go up to them and ask them, but I'll send Kelsi over to ask them. And then she'll come back and tell me. So I'm very curious to see how people cope and deal and make it through, and everybody is different. And that's okay. We learn that there's different ways to cope.
Of grieving and of getting through.
And we're still learning.
If you get through. Right.
And we're still learning. But there are milestones that are harder. Graduation. You know, we should have been having this big party for her and all her friends coming over. Instead,
we froze our butts off out in the cold at her grave and put up my cap and gown for her.
We went to the graveyard and she still has her cap and gown, and we had cupcakes and we celebrated her. So she still got the celebration, but she didn't get the celebration that she deserves.
Which is heartbreaking, because on February 13th, 2 young girls going out to the bridge to have fun on a day off from school and make up snow day. No one would ever have predicted broad daylight. I mean, broad daylight. Who was this? Was it planned? So many questions that investigators are holding tight, that they do know, some they don't know. I did reach out to a detective that Kelsi is close with, and he said, his statement to me was, I just want to say to the family just how great it is that they're continuing the fight. And you're in contact with detectives, right, Kelsi, on a daily basis. If you want to call, they answer, and vice versa.
I have 3 of them that I can contact anytime of day. Actually, Super Bowl Sunday, I messaged one of them and I was like, this guy is everywhere, I need to talk about him. And I just texted him and I'm like, this is what's out there and I want to make sure you have it. And he answered right away. I'm like, you should be with your family enjoying the Super Bowl, but you're messaging me. And I think that's amazing. I think that's why we can really trust them, and we know that they're doing this, and we know that they're doing all of the right things because these guys really care. And I know there's so many people that don't have that, and I wish that they did, but we appreciate our guys so much, and we couldn't be more grateful for a better team of detectives.
And Becky, yes, that is true. That you can text them and contact them and call them because of all the unknowns. I could imagine it getting frustrating, wondering why can't you tell us more? Or why isn't this further along 4 years down the road? And I know you said studying forensics, like you see why maybe they're not there at this point, but they want it as much as you do. That's what I felt in talking to them through the years, and also in seeing that latest email. And Becky, how is Abby's family? I know there's connection through everything. They were best friends. Not overall, but her mom, I know her grandmother was on the stage with me in New Orleans. And I'm sure it gets difficult for every family member and they deal with it differently.
They deal with it a little differently than what we do. They're a lot more private. We're a pretty boisterous family anyway, so.
You're
know.
carpeting vans to get here.
We respect that. The park has been a real outlet. It's been a labor of love.
Abby and Libby Memorial Park.
As a matter of fact, Abby's grandma, she's down there all the time. I kind of feel guilty that I'm not down there like she is. And
How
she
far
told,
along is it? I know the Memorial Park's been a long time coming.
well, one of the reasons Mike's not here is they're working really hard right now. We're getting to some of the final stages. The electricity is being run.
And it's been through donations of the...
Donate people just helping. It's just been, we've gotten some wonderful grants, and this park started out to be a set of bleachers, and now we have a 19-acre complex. So
Wow.
it's
And wasn't senior night held there with the
Huh?
girls? It was senior night for the girls. I saw a picture on Kelsi's Instagram of the girls being there for senior night and everyone gathering in front of the park, and a picture of Abby and Libby outside. Was that the Memorial Park?
No, that was actually at Delphi High School. They had their last game, and they honored them during their senior night there.
Are you hoping that everyone gathers at the Memorial Park? I see that happening for
Yes. Yes.
the kids
That's
who are
one of the
able to
reasons of
gather.
the push right now, because this would have been Libby's last year playing rec softball. She'd be 18U. And so all of her teammates and all of them, this is their last year. So we're trying very, very hard, because in July there's an Abby Libby Memorial Softball Tournament that has become huge. And it's not done at our town because we don't have anything that could do that. It's in Lafayette. But our goal is for the championship games for those girls to be played at our park. So that's what we're hoping, that they will be the first ones to play.
We hope so. And we're going to open it up to questions in a few minutes, but I do want to say, on your dark days, and advice that you would have, Kelsi, on the days that you're not feeling so great, what advice would you have for those who are going through something similar, who would gather at CrimeCon?
Remember the good memories. Write about it, read about it, and never stop trying to get to that point where you know that you need to keep going for them. And hopefully as you keep going for them, you'll be able to keep going for yourself as well.
Kelsi, Tara, and Becky, you've inspired me. And we want to open it up for questions. If you can come up to the mic, if you have a question for Kelsi, Tara, or Becky, you're welcome to walk up. There's 2 microphones on the right and left. And if you could say your name.
Hello, my name is Cindy. I met you yesterday. My daughter Libby was killed in 2017, and I just want to tell you, you've given me a lot of strength today, hearing your story. But I do have a question. Sorry. Did they collect DNA or find the murder weapon?
DNA from who?
From
Or
the girls.
the murder weapon.
Like any kind of...
We don't know about a murder weapon. That's never been disclosed. Records, everything was sealed immediately.
Okay.
We know, we've been told there is DNA. We don't know how much or what kind or what they're able to do with it.
Okay, thank you. I was just curious because, I mean, if he's a criminal, it would be immediately, I mean, if he's a criminal, because they have the CODIS, so that was my question. But thank you for sharing that and talking to me yesterday. We share a bond, and so it's a tragic bond, but that's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you. I know you're fighting for your daughter's justice, and we've been following that as well. Thinking of you.
I'm also Cindy, but we didn't plan that. So many of us have so many questions about more evidence and more video and more pictures and things like that, that we know the police are holding for a good reason, have they, not to ask what it is, but have they given you guys any more information than they've shared with any of us to help you get through a little bit more? And like, again, I'm not asking what it is, but have they sat down with you and said, here's a little more information that we can share with you to kind of help you understand why we're doing what we're doing and what the process is?
We do have a little more information than what the public does. Most of what they have told us, they've asked us not to share. And not a lot more. You know, we got to hear a little more of the video than what they have out there. But what we heard isn't going to help the case anymore. In a way, I don't want to know some of that, only because I talk.
So just keep going and going and going.
I talk, and I don't want to accidentally say something that could jeopardize the case. So do I want to know more than I want to protect the case? No, I won't do that. I'll stay in the dark.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to tell you guys, first of all, that I obviously, because I'm at CrimeCon, like, I listen to a lot of different true crime stories, and I have throughout the years, and yours hits different. Like, it has stuck with me since I first heard it, and it breaks my heart, and I'm so, so sorry for your loss. And I guess I just, in saying that, want to say also, you guys have been incredibly brave to continue your fight, and so keep going. I know this guy's going to be found. With that, what can we do as a community? What can we do to help find him? Where can we, follow, or whatever we can do?
Here's what we ask people. Share, share, share. We can only assume that we haven't reached the right person yet. Either it's somebody covering up, or we haven't reached the person that recognizes that picture. So we have to continue. We have talked to people here this weekend that haven't heard about our case. So we have done what our objective, to come here and share with somebody that doesn't know. So what we ask of all of you guys is please to do the same thing. If you share with one person that doesn't know, and if they share with one person that doesn't know, it's going to go all over. It's going to go all over. We're going to make his world smaller. We're going to make him have to look over his shoulder. And eventually we're going to reach that person, and he's caught.
And our HLN podcast that we've done, Down the Hill, the Delphi Murders, is so popular, for lack of a better word, meaning people are diving into this case and want to know what to do. So that's great advice to say, share. Because I assume because of that everyone knows about it. But when you said that some people don't even know about the case, and then some people think, oh, wasn't that solved? No, it wasn't, just because a picture may have been, as Kelsi mentioned, side by side, the sketch, and then maybe a mugshot of someone who did something terrible nearby. It's not solved.
That's the other thing. Because we feel like we're back to square one, because there was a local guy that was arrested recently. I'm not even going to say his name. But anyway, you would not believe the people, the messages, the whatever, that said, oh, the case is solved, the case is solved. Here's what we want people to do. Until you hear from law enforcement, and trust me, they'll have a press conference. Until you hear from them that he's been caught, know that he has not been caught, and continue sharing, no matter what the rumors, no matter what you hear. Until you hear from law enforcement, keep sharing.
Go ahead.
My name's Cindy, too.
Wait, is this something CrimeCon 2021? All Cindy's.
Yes, and Kelsi, I just want to tell you that you are just so clear-headed and so able to express things so well. I just know you're going to do great things for others, and I appreciate that.
Thank you.
I feel like this is solvable, and I mean, who knows when, but one of the things that was so chilling to me was when they first had the press conference and this officer stands up and says, "I think you're hiding in plain sight. You may be in this room." It made the hair on my back just, ugh. So what did that do to you? I mean, it's a small area, a small town.
We were together in the press conference, April 22nd, 2019. I'll never forget it. And I walked in, and Becky and I saw each other, and Becky said, "I'm nervous." I said, "I am too." There was just a kind of a chill in the air of nerves. And then law enforcement spoke to you and Mike and the families separately. And then when Superintendent Doug Carter, I was in the front kind of sitting down, and I noticed a big group behind me because everyone was invited. So it was Easter Sunday the day before, and we called and said, "Are you sure we should come?" No, it's big. So when he said, "We think you're in this room," I thought, what? In this room here? And I'm sure you felt the same. Yeah. What were you feeling at that moment? Because I was in shock, I can imagine.
You could hear a pin drop, and then everybody was looking at everybody.
Yeah, like, is it you? Yeah.
Yeah, you were checking everybody out at that moment. It was, but
Did you have suspicions right away? Did somebody come to your mind?
No. You know,
Because they showed this, and then the front of the newspaper the next day said hiding in plain sight with this sketch. So I thought that he looks so young. That was my initial thought. And then they played the guy's part of the audio there. So it's almost like giving a little more information, hoping to move the investigation in a certain way. Go ahead.
My name is Mary.
Not Cindy.
it's not
I
Cindy.
have a cousin named Cindy. I know you guys haven't been able to go to a lot of the things, but if they do have DNA, have you talked to the guy that's here that's doing DNA, the Othram lab? His name is, let's see.
We did talk to somebody.
David Middleman, because he can do it with just minute, and he can give you a full profile. He's, it's like state of the art, the only one in the country, at least, I don't know about the world, but I don't know if you wanted to run that by the police. Or
And that's the
anything.
problem, because they won't tell us that much information. What I do know is that the amount of law enforcement who was involved and is involved, soon after it happened, Robert Ives said, look, officers and detectives would stay late saying, oh, this is going to be solved within 48 hours. I'm not going to go home because I want to see this carried through within 48 hours, thinking it was going to go there. But I assure you that no matter how minute or minuscule, and I thank you for that contact, and they are doing everything they can,
They're
Kelsi,
doing
right?
everything.
Yeah, and I think they'll look at any possible thing they can do to solve it. I'm sure if that's who my grandma talked to, we'll give that name to them, and then they have that option.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Emma. My question is, what is the source of those sketches, if you're allowed to talk about where they came from?
Witnesses. There were some people out there that at different points did see him.
They did see people, maybe not the crime, but somebody entering or leaving the area that looks like the
Because
man in
again, the
Libby's
middle
video.
of the day, a day out from school, the middle of the day, that this person was able to isolate those two girls and get away with this in the middle of the day.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Alice. Just following up on that then, if you live in a small town and people saw someone to get that sketch, does that mean then most likely, is your town small enough where then that person most likely is not from your town? If people from the town saw him and didn't know, like, hey, that's so-and-so?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Because if I'm on that bridge and I see somebody older or even younger than me, I might not know them if they go to the school in the neighboring town about 15 minutes away. Or even some of the older people in the community, I don't think I know everybody.
It's
but
small,
a lot of people
but not
know
everyone
people.
knows everyone by name and face.
Yes. We might know their name, but maybe not their face.
Okay. Thank you.
And that is what is still shocking, Kelsi, as you know, and Becky and Tara, is the size of the town. Delphi, under 3,000. And if you cut that in half and it's male and female, everyone thinks, oh, this is easy to solve. Why hasn't this been solved? But as you see and you hear at CrimeCon, sometimes it takes years. And then all of a sudden, you get a hit. Does that get you through thinking of that day? That it may happen? It doesn't mean that all hope is lost because it hasn't been solved at this point.
Oh yeah. After the conference, I thought, yeah, we're going to get this.
Mm-hmm.
But we haven't. But every day, you have to get up and you have to have hope. You have to think, we might get, every day, when I get up, I think we might get that call today. You know, we're just waiting. You guys will hear us when they do.
I don't know if you follow Becky on social media, but you should, because every day she posts, today is the day. Does that help you?
No.
And I know when I was at your house and I looked out and I saw a cardinal when I was first there, and I thought, oh, my mom always says this is someone visiting who has passed. And I went to say that to Becky, and she said to me, I believe that that's Libby. And it just, you know, and saying today is the day and knowing that her presence is there really touched me.
Oh.
Do you do that every morning? Today is the day?
Oh, she plays tricks. We're chickens and she plays tricks. You know? Yeah, when there's been times when I would be having an especially rough day. And I look out the window, and right there, right on this little bush, right outside the window is this cardinal. And it sat there forever. I took pictures, and I posted them.
Yeah.
And so I think she comes. She knows when we need her.
And we hope that one day, we know that today will be the day. And I thank you all again for your resilience and drive to get this guy. And our thanks to everyone, to you for helping out and knowing that there is a tip line. And as Becky said, share, share, share. And we appreciate your time. Thank you.